Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and we are back with part 2 of the 2-envelope Penpal pocket. So let's jump right in. So if you guys watched part 1, you would have seen how I made the 2-pocket envelope Penpal situation and how I decorated the front and the back. So this is actually the inside that we're going to decorate first, and then we're going to create a matching envelope to go with it. So I'm still using the Tim Holtz backdrops. This is volume 5, I believe. It's the one with all the really pretty colors in it. And you guys know that I have a tendency towards eyeballing measurements. You'd probably be better to measure them. You'd have a little less waste. Although I do generally keep the pieces aside and then use them for other things later. So nothing really gets wasted, but you would have bigger pieces if you measured stuff. I kind of like, eyeballing it and just kind of having a general idea of what I'm doing. And then it kind of gives you a little more freedom, I find, so that you can kind of just do slightly different things. So I did cut these down so they would fit on top of the pockets of the envelope there. And I ripped chunks off because I like that look. I think it's really fun. And then I did bring in my corner chomper or corner rounder so that I could create that more rounded edge, which is something this envelope has going for it anyway. And then I did bring back in my vintage photo Distress Oxide ink. I liked to do this on these ones because I felt it gave it a very vintage effect, especially across that kind of white core that you see. And you are going to see me trial a bunch of pieces. I went back and forth on a few designs. I cut a lot of that out because these videos were a bit long as it was. So you're going to see random pieces of ephemera pop in and out as I kind of go through decorating everything. But there's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm a very how it feels type crafter. So I do have a tendency to just put pieces places, and if I like how it feels, then I keep it there. If it doesn't feel quite right, then I change it out. So, there's no right or wrong with this. I just kind of trial stuff and see what I like. And I did kind of repeat that doily underneath one of the pieces of that backdrop paper. And you can see I also try not to bring the glue straight up to the edge in case I change my mind and want to tuck something underneath it, just because that kind of gives me that freedom. And then the book page that I'm using, it actually was, I was gifted a few vintage books from one of my coworkers. She's actually now my boss, and I've been using those in this, and I love that. I love that look, that just little bit of page from a book. And I know that would upset some people, and I understand. As an avid reader myself, I understand, and it was hard to remove the first few pages, but it's kind of giving the book new life, if that makes sense. So hopefully you're not offended by the book page that I'm ripping up. Also, I have received book pages from pen pals in the past. So, I also have book pages that are already ripped out. And these lady stickers are actually from another pen pal of mine, so I have no idea where they came. But Nadine sent these to me, so thank you so much. I love them. They're amazing. I thought they really added something fun to this letter because they fit that pink theme, which is kind of what I'm going for. But otherwise, honestly, some of this ephemera I've got from Penpal, some of this ephemera I got, from Amazon or Tim Holtz packs, or, packs from different companies, or so I try to link what I've used down below, but if I've missed something that you're looking for specifically, please shoot me a comment or a message or anything like that, and I'll go and try to find the exact one that I had. I do try to do that every time, but sometimes it's hard. Like those lady stickers, I have no idea where they came from. This pen pal lives in Europe, so I don't know where she got them, but I love them. They're so fun, and I thought that they would really look good on this envelope design because it's pretty much pink and craft, right? So they just really fit in with that design. So like I said, though, there's no right or wrong with any of this. And I did choose 2 kind of label style pieces of ephemera so that I could write on them, which is you're going to see me do here in a minute. Just because I thought that kind of, again, added just that handmade touch. A lot of this is honestly just trialing pieces and seeing if I like them or not. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So this would be vastly different if someone else was creating it. So completely up to you as to how it ends up looking, but it kind of hopefully gives you some ideas if collage is something that you're interested in. And here I did, these are stickers, these girls are stickers, but at this point I didn't actually know if they were or weren't, so I ended up just gluing them down, but they are actually stickers, so you'll see that here in a minute when I do the matching envelope. And I did bring in a pencil and kind of drew out what I wanted my lettering to look like, so I kind of hand wrote the word letter, and then the word extra I just wrote it in with a pen so that they'd be there. And I did choose a black pen just because I thought it'd stand out really nice. Yeah, so that was pretty much mostly the inside, but you guys know that I can't leave well enough alone. So I did bring in some of those star ephemeras that I love because they're like holographic. So the shine on them is stunning. You'll see when I tip the letter here in a little while, or sorry, not the letter, the pockets. But I love how the inside of this came together. And I think the envelope turned out really well too, although I messed up on it. And I'll tell you guys that here in a second. So to start out on the envelope, I thought that the best thing I should do was to cut out the name of the recipient, and her name is Calista, and then I would kind of have an idea of what kind of spacing and whatnot I'm working with. So I have a 5x7 envelope. This is a Kraft envelope, same as the two A2 envelopes I used to create this project. And I went with a 5x7 one intentionally because I knew that the 4x7 one was the 4 A2 sized one was going to end up being fairly bulky after I went and added all the extras in the letter and whatnot. So I knew that I was going to need a fair amount of space, which is why I picked the 5x7 envelope. And I used, this is a scrapbook.com set of letters. This is an alphabet. It's the festive set of alphabet dies. So I'll have that linked if you guys are at all interested in checking it out. It's actually a really cool font or typeface. I'm really impressed by it. I really like it. And then I decided that it would be really fun so I cut this out of the same backdrop that I've used on the envelope there, you can see. And then I also cut it out of some white glitter cardstock, and Miss joined me here as I was trying to figure out what to do with my letters. So I left this little chunk in so you guys could see that she came and helped me with my letters. And then I'm going to adhere the two sets of letters together kind of offset so that you get a little bit of this glitter look around or off to the one side of the letter. So I'll hold them up so it'll make sense when I've started to adhere them. But so it's kind of like the flowery piece has a shadow that's glitter. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. You'll see it here in a sec when I start to actually adhere them. But I thought that just turned out really pretty and looked really neat, and it helped them stand out even more because it kind of just created this different texture to them, which is difficult to see on camera. Hopefully you can see it when I hold the envelope up at the end, but I really like how it turned out. So I just layered up all of my letters slightly offset with the glitter cardstock and just created that bit of a shadow with it. So I didn't realize it at this point, but Callista's name has 2 L's in it, and I forgot that, and I didn't remember it until after I'd pretty much finished the envelope and everything was adhered. And by that point, it's pretty hard to fix, short of ruining everything that I had done, which I wasn't willing to do. So Callista, if you're watching this, I am so sorry. It didn't even occur to me until after I had pretty well finished the whole envelope design. And then I was like, wait a minute. Oh boy. So yes, I am aware that I spelled her name wrong. So not that you guys would know that, except that I'm telling you, but Callista's name does have 2 L's. So her envelope's going to go with 1 L. And she's just going to have to forgive me for it because I totally, completely forgot that that's how it was spelt. But Callista's lovely, so I'm sure she's not going to be upset about it. But I just felt like kind of a numbskull when I realized it because I should have double checked that before I adhered all my letters. But I assumed that I knew her name, and apparently I don't. But yeah, so oh boy. So there, should have been 2 L's. But otherwise, I think that this turned out really pretty. I love how it came together. I did try to be I'm still a little bit over the top because you guys know that I am a more is more style crafter. That is just how I roll with my creations. But I did try to be a little more simple on what went on the front of the envelope, simply because it has to go through the mail, right? So I don't want anything hanging off. I don't want anything too high up because I don't want it to catch. So I'm just trying really hard to be careful with what goes on the front and how much depth it has. And here you see me going through one of the, this is a pattern paper that I've had for a while. And I was looking for a label kind of thing so that I could write Callista's address on it. And I found this one and I really liked it. So I just kind of cut it out of this little paper. And then as I was flipping through, I saw this one piece of leftover that I thought would really be fun to add in the pocket. So I set that aside as well. And then I'm just going to trim down this little label, and that's where I'm going to write Callista's address. I'm not going to put my return address on the front. I'm going to put it on the flap, but I won't be doing that in the video either because of my pen pals. The mail comes to my house. So I don't write those on here. When I send stuff to people that send stuff to my post box, I will do it and then put my post box address because it's in the description below. So if you're ever curious what my post box address is, it's already in the description. But because my pen pal letters come to my house, I do tend to be really careful about addresses. So that's why, like, you don't have Callista's last name isn't going to be in this video, and then her address, that kind of stuff. So just for privacy purposes, because I don't ever want anybody to feel uncomfortable. And then, so you guys saw that I kind of laid out the stuff. I did have to cut out some of the like playing with pieces just because it would have taken forever. If you guys are ever interested and you want to like sit down and actually collage together, I could do a live and we could kind of sit down and do that, and that would be a little bit easier to kind of go through trialing stuff. But for a video, it's difficult to trial like 60 pieces, even though that may be what I did to get here, right? But it's kind of difficult to trial all the pieces you want to trial before you kind of lay them out. So I didn't do that in this video. So this is where I realized that those girls were actually stickers. So this one's actually stuck down, which is awesome because then it's less likely to lift as it goes through the mail, hopefully. And then everything else is going to be adhered fairly well because, again, I really don't want the machines or anything to grab any of the pieces. So I'm trying really hard to make sure everything's flat, everything's laid down well, and they're not going to lift up or go anywhere as they go through the mail. So hopefully it arrives to Callista in one piece in great, nothing comes off, nothing rips, nothing does anything like that. And I did leave the top right hand corner completely open because that is where the stamps will go, but otherwise I did kind of decorate this in like a bit of a triangle-esque pattern just because that's generally more visually appealing. Not perfectly. I mean, you guys know that I do try to do things in thirds, but honestly with this, it was more about just having fun. I do kind of feel like collage, for me at least, is very freeing because there's no, at least again for me, there's no real rhyme or reason as to what the heck I'm doing. I'm just playing, and if it looks good, awesome, and if it doesn't, I'll change it. So there's no set rules, at least that I'm aware of, to doing collage. So I just had a lot of fun just adhering my stuff down. And you'd see I laid out her name. See this? I realized it after I'd already adhered to everything, and there's no way that I could have put the L in here after I've realized this, right? Like there's no way to fix that. So the letters are too close for me to even ponder it. So yeah. Oh, well, again, there's not much I could do about it at this stage. But yeah, so I adhered all the letters down, and it didn't really matter placement. Usually I would start with whatever the center letter was and build out from there. But because I knew that it was going to sit up next to that kind of postage stamp sticker I had added, I didn't need to worry about that because I knew that it was going to line up the length of the strip that I put there. Yeah, so I just kind of adhered all of my letters down. And then I'm going to draw some sparkles on here because, again, I didn't want to adhere embellishments. You absolutely can, but I was really concerned that they might catch, like if one of the little star corners sat up. Whereas with this, if all I do is draw my own little stars and circles and whatever dots, and kind of add the sparkle that way, nothing can catch in the machines because it's just drawn on the envelope. So it's kind of what I was thinking when I did this, because I really didn't want anything to catch. So I just, in 3 different areas, I added these little dots and little kind of sparkles with my white gel pen. And then that's kind of all I did for the envelope. I wanted it to be more simple and hopefully have it be really well adhered so that nothing would kind of lift off or go anywhere or do anything funny like that. And then I'm going to show you what I put in the envelope. So this is probably my favorite part about making these things, like the pockets that I send to people who send stuff to my post box or my pen pals or whatnot. I go through the random stuff that I've collected over time. And I do have a fair amount because I have a very strong love of ephemera and paper and all that kind of stuff. So I have a decent collection at this point, I think. And I didn't, generally, I guess maybe you'd choose stuff that would match what you'd done the style of the pocket in, but I don't really worry about that. I just kind of go through my collection of random stuff and find stuff that I think that the person would enjoy. So I added a couple of those stickers that I put on the front. I added some leftover strips of glitter cardstock because I thought that'd be fun, and little like tags and tickets and pieces of, paper that I thought would be enjoyable, or just random stuff that I have in my collection that I just greatly enjoy sharing with whoever I'm sending it to, because this also frees me up to buy more things. So, because it's one of those things where it's like, well, you need to use what you have. Well, if I send some of what I have to somebody else so they can use it, that means I can buy a little more of it. You know what I mean? So I think this is probably my favorite part of sending stuff, is I get to find these fun gifts to give to whoever I'm sending it to. And I just have a lot of fun with that. So there's a mix of stickers and papers and ephemera and whatnot. And then, of course, I had to add, this is one of my stickers that I drew and handmade. So I had to add one of those in as well. So here is a look at how that turned out. The stars that are all adhered and that pocket's all full now. And of course the letter will go in the top pocket. And then I show you how I adhere it so it closes. And then we're going to put it in the envelope. Now I usually will adhere a couple of stamps and then I'll take it to the post office, make sure that it has enough postage. And if it doesn't, I'll add some while I'm there, and then it's good to go in the mail. I like to be very, very sure that it's going to get to where it's going and not accidentally come back to me. So this is how it turned out. I'd love to know what you guys think. I'm really excited with how it came together, but collage is not something I do super often, so it's always a bit of a gamble for me as to how it looks in the end, but I love it. So let me know what you think. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.